What's your background? What's your upbringing? Where are you from?
Sure. Well, actually am Filipino Australian. I was born in the Philippines, came to Australia when I was about 8 months. So I'm 27 now, and I've lived in Australia ever since. I think, my upbringing definitely has shaped the kind of decisions I've made and the ways of thinking that I've applied in my life. For those of you that don't know, Philippines is a third world country, and I've been back there a couple times, and it's quite humbling. You know, there are people in the streets that have nothing, and the problems that first world country kids complain about is really nothing compared to not knowing if you're going to have food on the table, kind of thing. So I've had great loving parents, and I think family and that perspective of where I've come from has definitely influenced who I am.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what led you to design?
Design, you know what? Ever since I could pick up a crayon, I think I was really into it. I didn't know that design was going to be such a powerhouse in the world. You know, back then I just thought of design as print. To be honest, I just thought it was not something that could influence human behavior in such a powerful way. I think really it was just, I was just naturally drawn to it, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
It was something that I didn't force. I mean, science and medicine and biology and chemistry and physics and all those things, I think, have definitely an important place in the world. But I think for me, I just wasn't drawn to that type of field. You know, I really was quite imaginative. I would make things out of cardboard when I was a kid to, you know, turn them into inventions. I would, you know, climb trees and pretend that, you know, I was a superhero. That kind of kid. You know, I really was quite imaginative. So I think from a young age, it just, I don't know. I can't really pinpoint a certain thing.
Sure.
But yeah, it was definitely natural.
Yeah, I definitely shared some like similar experiences and stuff. It's definitely like cross-cultural. Do you think your primary education, like beginning, do you think that had an impact on that?
I think
Or was it irrelevant?
yeah, I think it definitely, I think everything that happens when you're an infant to when you're in your primary years, I think it definitely all affects you without a doubt. You know, I think the main thing that my parents did was allow me to do whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
You know, and they did that in a way that was very loving, and they did that in a way that made me acknowledge that there will be consequences for what I do. Plain and simple. So I think that's pretty much the main thing. I mean, you know, so I explored. You know, I explored, and I was quite free, and I think that's really important in design, even till now. You know, there are so many restrictions, limitations, especially when you get to the commercial side of things with clients. But they pay you to come up and see things that no one's ever seen before.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you look at anything innovative now. If you said that 10 years ago that I could post my thought and it would reach millions of people in as fast as you think it.
Yeah.
And now it's called a tweet.
Well, we communicate instantly across Australia. It took you 4 hours, or I mean 13 hours for you to get here physically.
That's right.
And it was just bam.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So easy, you know. So to your question, I think I think just being free as a kid and having that childlike mind is important.
Awesome. Yeah, people should really like maintain that as long
Yeah,
as they
absolutely,
can.
absolutely. You gotta have fun, you know. Otherwise you're not gonna. You know, people don't even laugh these days. People go to the office, they don't even have a conversation with the person making their sandwich. You know, they're on the phone. You know, they'll point to what they want, be on the phone, texting, or you know, there's really not that much interaction in the real world, and I think to lose that would be a sad thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that freedom, I think, should should definitely live like a child in today's world. Yeah.
As a designer, how do you think you could maintain that balance? Like disconnect people from their phones and get people engaged, but still utilize like this technology?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think the thing is, I think that we have to definitely embrace, you know, smartphones and you know, RDF chips and all these kinds of things. But I think it's not so much about disconnecting as it is integrating.
Okay.
You know, you look at Snapchat. I don't know. That just came to my mind because people are really getting into that these days. It's no longer okay to just send a regular text message. Now you can take a moment, a 10-second moment, send it to someone, and they can embrace that moment with you, and then it gets deleted immediately. You know, like
I've never heard of this service.
Right. So Snapchat, yes, just basically because it's just taken off. Actually, it's you record video of yourself, or it could just be a message.
Yeah, I think I've seen drawings maybe.
Yeah. So it's just an app, and you know, it could be just me going, "Hey Tim, mate, see you in 13 hours. I'm just at Sydney Airport." You know, and that's 10 seconds. That will send exactly like a text. You'll get it, and you'll watch it. Then it gets deleted. Doesn't store unless you screen grab. But the actual video is deleted. So
it's pretty mind blowing.
It is.
Like the next step above that too, when it's just permanently always connected.
Yeah.
Like singularity.
Exactly. So
would you just tap into someone else's? Well, I don't know. Tap in would be a good word, but join into someone else's moment.
That's right. You know, and you know, that's an amazing thing to capture, both interaction through technology. You know, so I mean, it definitely has its place. I guess it depends, you know, what we're really trying to achieve.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at menus, there are, you know, touchscreen menus now. I went to a Japanese restaurant in Sydney, and basically you just get sat down and you have a massive screen that you just pick the menu, and within 10 minutes they come with your order. So you're not actually speaking to a waiter.
You don't have to know the language at that point.
You don't have to know the language.
You gotta see what you want to eat.
Pictures, price.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I think there definitely has to be an integration there.
Okay. Yeah. Like a ubiquity to everything.
Yeah, as opposed to you know, you just not interacting in general. You know, I mean, you can pick and choose at the end of the day. But I think if you want that balance, it's there's definitely places within the app kind of technology region that you can really embrace both. Yeah.
Great. What's your role as a senior designer at your firm?
Okay, so I've actually currently just transitioned to freelancing, contracting.
Okay.
So this only happened, well, meaning I'm running my own business. Yeah. So this only happened in the last 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
I just found that after working full time for big and small agencies, working for global clients, a mix of projects, I just found that after almost 10 years of doing that, I started to, I guess, you reach a point where you just want a different challenge, and you just want to continue learning in a different way. And I think variety really brings that to the table. It's kind of like if you've been at a company for years and years and years, you're surrounded by the same types of people. It's a bit difficult to come up with different ideas or have even creative tension, because you've conditioned yourself to the same people, to the same process.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go to a number of different places, which freelancing and contracting does when you're going from project to project, it really, breeds that type of mentality where you're constantly learning, you're constantly being challenged. You work with different people, you have to adapt, you have to be diverse. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. And I work on big projects, so usually 2 to 3 month stints.
Okay.
As opposed to one day here, one day there, which a lot of freelancers do, but I do more contracts, so they'll bring me on board to perhaps be the design lead on a big branding or identity project, or maybe a digital project, or an experiential project. It really just depends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think, like, as young designers, should somebody go into a firm and gain those few years of experience, or
Absolutely.
could you jump in and
well, I have a pretty strong belief with that, which is the trouble is if you've come out of university or a design college and you go straight into I'm going to start my own business type of thing, the trouble with that is if you do that off the bat, you're almost figuring things out when they've already been figured out.
Okay.
So, for example, if you want to start your own business, there's a whole lot of things that you've got to consider that has nothing to do with design. There's managing people, there's managing yourself, there is the accounting side of things. How are you going to keep tabs on your income and expenses? Tax side of things. There's so many things actually that you have to think about. Even if you're a sole trader, as in if you're just not employing anyone, you're just yourself earning money, you still need to know that side of things. What experience gives you in an agency or a design studio or a design firm or any organization with a team, whether it be a staff of 5 people or 500, is you get to know process very well, usually.
Okay.
People have different processes, but if you do that on your own, you're just making it up on your own, as in you're just kind of seeing what works for you, but it's going to constantly evolve. Whereas agencies usually have and design firms and design studios, they all have a pretty similar workflow, especially with approval processes and client changes, presentation procedures. That's why they have art directors, copywriters, design directors, designers, finish artists, web designers, web developers, front end, back end developers. They have producers. They have account service people. They have managing directors. They have accountants, finance department. They have, the reception office desk clerks. They have, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're going to be all those things.
Yeah.
If you do that off the bat. So it's a lot of pressure. I'm not saying it's not doable. I mean, I recently watched, I think it was a TED Talk or something, and there was, I think it was a 7-year-old CEO who comes up with, yeah, he's a 7-year-old CEO.
Okay.
So he just makes kids games, and he's quite well off for a 7-year-old. So, of course, he's got his team, but he is the CEO, as in he's come up with the ideas because he's the target market and he knows it very well. But at the same time, he's 7, so he still has a team. of people helping him out, So it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
I can't even imagine the skills he's acquiring now.
Oh,
that
exactly.
He could apply as like a 30-year-old.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of like if I'm creating a drawing game, I would be creating it from a 27-year-old's point of view, thinking what a 7-year-old might like. Whereas he's creating it.
This is what I like.
This is what I like. This is what I do naturally. These are the actions and motions and emotions that I want from a game. This is what's going to get me hooked. This is what's going to get me learning. This is what is fascinating to me. I can just assume that, and as much research as I have, it still might not be a 7-year-old's view. So, but yeah, going to your point, it's to your question, it's definitely something that is very rewarding to be your own boss and start your own firm or company, or even just doing things with yourself or maybe a partner. But there is huge benefits going off the bat to a firm or company or agency or studio that can bring you up to skills very quickly in an environment that has been proven and has worked. And then you kind of assess after, you constantly have to assess.
Yeah.
Every 6 months.
I'm sure there's from my work experience, and that's just typical jobs, run-of-the-mill jobs. I see so many opportunities to where their workflow or something could be optimized.
Right.
So as a freelancer, what skills do you think you could learn, or what would you either strive for or would like to be different from firms?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think it is part of the reason why freelancers end up being freelancers, because something happens that they perhaps want to take more control of. So maybe they've found a way that is an improved process or an optimized process, as you might call it. Some things for me would be productivity versus time.
Okay.
So, there's a book that's a New York bestseller that you've also mentioned, and I've read, a huge fan of. If you haven't read it, it is amazing. It's the 4-Hour Workweek by Timothy Ferriss. It's quite mind-blowing the way that he puts it, that we spend the best years of our lives striving for happiness in the last.
Yeah.
We work so hard, and we work longer and longer hours as time goes on, hoping to get a great retirement package, just so that you could retire with a bit of money 60 years old onwards and maybe travel the world.
And you're incapable of doing it sometimes.
That's right. And then you might not even, you might not even be fit enough to do that.
Yeah.
Doesn't that seem a bit ridiculous? I think I was quite awakened by this book. So in terms of what processes or what things as a freelancer that I think I would change or have the power to change is productivity versus time. I think within the office, you can get caught up in sending email forwards and just getting distracted. But really, the time that you're there, say you're there, 8-9 hours, how many of those hours are you actually working to achieve the exact thing that's going to make money that day? Realistically, I think that that there should be more flexibility within work-life balance. I think Google are doing that quite a fair bit. I think they say to their employees, correct me if I'm wrong if you work for Google, but what I did read was 20% or a certain percentage is allowed to do whatever you want.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah,
they
have a policy where I believe it's like 10% of the day.
10%?
Like,
Is it 10%?
yeah, maybe like an hour out of your 8-hour day.
Sure.
You just work on any project.
Any project that you want.
Yeah.
And so they hire people that are interested in innovation and that want to, make a difference with any project that they have. Usually it's a project that they might even buy out. So it's a pretty smart gig for them. You're actually working on a project that you want to work on, yet you might end up pitching it back to them, and they might actually buy you out for it. It's genius, and it's just, again, it breeds that innovation within the company. So that is a principle that they've applied, or a policy they've applied, and it really supports that thing that I'm actually quite passionate about, which is really doing what's necessary and then pushing, kicking on with all your passions, and allowing that freedom.
Yeah, definitely. You get to travel the world now.
Well, yeah, that's right. So
you're not tied in anywhere.
Yeah, think about it. Is there really 8 hours around the world that everyone can do everything that they need to achieve in that time frame? That just seems ridiculous.
Not without distractions, not without procrastination.
And I guess it's a structure. It is a structure. But I think it's an old way of thinking.
Well, I think what Tim Ferriss really enforces, once you eliminate that structure and get the work done, then your time's freed up for everything else.
Yes.
And then you could choose to work either tenfold or 100-fold, or
absolutely,
or go and travel the world and still maintain that.
And what happens out of that is working remotely too. That's probably the second thing that ties in with that. To be able to work remotely is a beautiful thing, and I say that because in Sydney, and I'm pretty sure it's the same here, it takes some people 2 hours to get to the city to drive. So that's going to take you 4 hours each day in traffic. It's like, why,
it's overtime for nothing.
I think the sooner that companies start to embrace remote activity is going to benefit everybody better. More productivity, time is halved, and you get to spend more time with your friends, family, and you get more out of life. At the end of the day.
The retirement before
so
your lifetime.
They're the kind of things that I'm quite passionate about. That not a lot of companies and change in general is a difficult thing.
Sure.
Because there's comfort there. So I'm not necessarily saying that what I think is going to make or break a company. Not at all. I think they're just kind of some of the things, in my opinion, that that is already moving in that direction, whether people embrace it or not.
I've heard IBM has a pretty strong remote work location where they built this massive campus expecting computers to be this huge industry. And now the campus and parking lots are mostly empty because everybody's working from home and having meetings in Second Life, and that's old. We have way better communication tools now. But what has those freedoms enabled you to do? I mean, obviously you're far away from home.
You know what? it's probably only kicked in the last 6 to 8 months because I have, as I said, have transitioned.
Yeah.
Not to say that I haven't been working long hours. I definitely have.
Yeah.
I could be working 8 a.m. and finish at midnight some nights, and that could go on for weeks. So, but in the bigger scheme of things, if I'm working on a project for 3 months, I could then take another 3 months off. That kind of flexibility is in more of a broader sense. But it's allowed me to have more time applying those kind of principles that I was speaking about, doing what's necessary, working remotely, and productivity versus time management. It's allowed me to take up new things. One of which is martial arts. I always wanted to do it, and I just never had time.
Yeah.
I just found it quite interesting, the discipline side of things as well, and the mentality behind it. So I've now been able to do that. Been able to maintain good relationships with family and friends, and even catching up for dinner or something. Sometimes it even gets a bit difficult, to catch up with friends once a month, because you really don't have enough time. That was my life for a fair amount of years. So now that I'm able to do that, it really is more fulfilling because I can share more of my time with people that you can't get that back. You can't go back in time and say I wish I had spent more time with my family or my friends. So that's quite valuable to me. So currency of time is a huge thing that I've gotten out of it. And with that time, you fill it with things that you've always wanted to do. Next, I want to really master Spanish or a language, or I want to take up another hobby. I think that's the beautiful thing about life. You never stop learning. So,
I think it's definitely it's a bigger picture that a lot of people are just missing.
Yeah.
And Tim Ferriss slaps in your face.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, travel too.
Yeah. That's great that you've managed to do that so far too. I've been trying to actually wanted to get into jiu-jitsu.
What's that?
Jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu, yeah.
And then as of the other day, it just kind of sparked in my head, I could pick up dancing. I could waltz or tango, become Tim Ferriss became a world champion in 5 months. There's absolutely no reason why we can't have that perseverance.
Yeah, absolutely no reason. You have the resources, and all you have to do is start.
Yeah.
It's really just getting off the couch and just doing it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we're going to talk about philosophies and that later, but
sure.
But one thing that I have found to be unbelievably powerful is the thought of, even a thought is a cause set in motion. Everything you have now was something that started as a thought. So the fact that you can, the power that you have to think is enough power for you to take action upon that thought, and then it's a cause set in motion. Should I email this CEO? Oh no, he's not going to respond to me anyway. Don't even bother.
Yeah.
Well, you've just dismissed an idea without even trying. Oh, should I take up jiu-jitsu? You know what?
Get my ass kicked.
I'm probably going to get really injured.
Yeah.
There's going to be bigger guys than me. Really don't have the money to spend in jiu-jitsu classes because you have to go consistently. Or, nah, just not gonna do it. It's so easy to get out of something once you've already thought it, but the thought is one thing, and then the action is a completely different thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's something that I can't stress enough to people I talk to, but the people that I hang around with reaffirm those same beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you really have to apply pain and pleasure to things.
Okay.
So some people might say going and studying jiu-jitsu or a course, or even going to school or design or applying for a job. The reason why they don't do it is they find it more painful to do it. You know, because they have weighed up more pain, and therefore we react. Our behavior is automatically, you know, we don't want pain, so we'll do anything to avoid pain.
Yeah, just, I mean, like touching the hot stove, we're not going to do that again.
Absolutely.
But that applies to life experiences. I mean, we all have to grow up and look beyond that.
Yeah. So if you switch that around, I mean, you could look at it as so pleasurable that to the point where if you don't do it, it's going to be painful. So, you know, that's the power of a thought. You know, and then the action is driven by your commitment to having as much pleasure out of life as possible. You know?
Do you do anything that forces you to do things that you may think that's painful, that you could go beyond? Like, for example, I just learned this today, and it was Big Think Mentor subscription. And Tim Ferriss was one of the lecturers, and each video is like 10-20 minutes long, and they're just actionable things to do, and of course Tim Ferriss has a lot to say about that. It's called stick.com.
Okay.
Stick with 2 Ks, .com, and what you do is you sign up and you set a goal for yourself, like you want to lose maybe even 100 pounds in a year.
Okay.
That's pretty steep.
Yeah, that's quite a lot.
If you get your friend to sign up too, and you just choose a friend that's gonna really stick it to you, somebody who won't let you down for anything, and you also set up for, you have to prove to that friend that you achieved part of that goal. Within a certain amount of time. Or they'll like neg you, and then a certain amount would go on public record to a charity that you hate. So you have the motivation to not give money to this charity, but you're doing it like on a public
charity that you
platform,
hate.
you know, like that's
yours. People hate out there. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, you could have it go towards. Tim Ferriss was saying the President Bush Congressional Library is the most hated one.
Yeah, right.
Second, like the Nazi Party, like.
And then if you follow through, then that is it like a deal between you and someone else?
I don't know if there's a reward, but you could definitely set up like pots, like even just your workplace.
So if you did achieve
like that,
you obviously get the reward of achieving that personal goal.
Yeah,
and that's it.
See, I'm not sure if there's any reward. Yeah,
that sounds interesting. That's cool.
I mean, but it's definitely, you don't have a donation of like $100 going to the Nazi Party on your record.
Yeah, exactly. So again, that's a pain and pleasure thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So my question is, do you have anything like that you might apply to yourself to prevent you from backing out of something, or is it? I mean, it could just be a mental block. Like, what do you do to overcome those fears?
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of things that that I don't. Okay, I was going to say I don't have to maintain, but I've made it a must. So, you know, it could be as simple as training 4 times a week, which I do, minimum. So that's my minimum. Now, what happens to me if I don't do that? Well, it really brings back the person I once was, and to take a step backward is hugely painful. You know,
Okay.
I think as humans, it's in our nature to continue to move forward. So it's kind of like, you know, and at times it can be quite humbling. You know, sometimes you have an injury and you can't train for 3 to 6 months because you've hurt your ankle, or you've pulled a muscle or something. You know, so I mean that's life. But I think the main thing for me is what allows me to follow through and maintain certain actionable decisions, whether it be sending those emails, whether it be having those conversations, whether it be knocking on those doors, whether it be going to the gym, even though I'm dead tired, you know, eating this food that's quite healthy as opposed to choosing, you know, something greasy. You know, everyone has their own weaknesses. Some people find comfort in food. Some people find comfort in drugs. Some people find comfort in alcohol. Some people find comfort in partying, smoking, you name it. There's an addiction out there that everyone has. So to answer your question, I think for me it's really regret. Regret for me is such a huge part of my mentality that if I don't do this, I almost project into the future and think how my life will be if I don't do this. For example, one session at the gym isn't going to make you fitter. One session isn't going to make you fitter. Just one. Nor is not going to one session going to make you unhealthy in one session. But you do it consistently enough, and it will. See, I don't know where this quote comes from, but I'm big on quotes, and there's this one quote, something to the effect of what you do regularly is what you are. You know, something like that, where you know, I don't want to be unfit or unhealthy or lazy. I just don't want to be that type of person. So it goes back to really values. The things that matter to me out of life is, you know, things like adventure and commitment and hard work, discipline. They're the kind of things that matter to me in my life, and I think everything else stems from that. Everything else is just vehicles of that. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. I think yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've applied a lot of this lifestyle design stuff. So when do you maintain your workload and like going to the gym and then the social life, traveling? Like, how do you do it?
Yeah, I pretty much structure my and you can do it in any way, I guess, but how I do it is I structure Monday to Friday, both with work and extracurricular, as much as I can, with me time. So I'll work Monday to Friday, and I'll do whatever I have to do in terms of work and in terms of you know, doing great projects and you know, obviously earning income between that time frame. Now that might be half days, that might be full days, that might be whatever it may be. But my eating habits and my training, I think they're intertwined with the mind. You know, the mind can't function if the body is weak and unhealthy and that type of thing. So, I can see now that there's 24-hour gyms popping up everywhere. No matter where you go these days. And in America, I think they've been around for much longer, but in Australia, they've only just started popping up everywhere. But literally, they've just been everywhere now.
Yeah.
Everywhere you look. So it's almost like there's no excuse not to train. So things like that, I think, are great. They promote that balance and eating. I mean, I think if you go to the shops, if you buy something, then it's an option in your pantry at home. So you're only going to eat what's available at home. So it's more about buying things that give you only healthy options. But not to say I don't indulge, but that's where the weekend comes in. I spend a lot of time with my family, my friends, and loved ones, and I indulge, and I will eat that pizza, I will eat that burger, I will eat whatever, but that's how I structure that work-life balance. And outside of that, sometimes it might fluctuate, but Monday to Friday generally is work in terms of actual work and in terms of working out. So it's really important to have that balance.
Cool.
Because you need that stress relief. You can't be sitting on a chair for 8 hours straight.
Yeah.
You need to get the blood pumping as well. So
you'll fall into that regretful person.
That's right.
Yeah, I think I've definitely noticed that, and I've made those changes. I had listened to the audiobook while I was working at Bank of America doing this BS data entry job. It was a pain in the ass. And I heard Tim Ferriss, and I just broke away. Like, that's it. Threw in the towel and became this and then I really got into working out in the past 6 months.
That's
I've
cool.
noticed a difference.
How do you feel?
Great.
Feels good, eh?
It's me and Pat, actually, we've gone into nootropics, like cognitive. It's just like brain vitamins.
Nice.
Diets, of course, a huge impact.
Absolutely.
There's definitely value in intermittent fasting. And definitely cycle off and switch. You have your fun time.
And it's enjoyable, time. Isn't it? It's new, and it's something that you can see the effects of that. But more importantly, now you and Patrick are doing something together, and in the bigger scheme of things, if you have a family one day, you will also pass on those same values, which is valuing a healthy lifestyle.
Which should be the normal. This is what it's supposed to be like.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Choosing vegetables as opposed to chocolates and just processed foods. Something so simple like that. Getting fruit juice for natural sugar as opposed to soft drinks and Coke, and choosing a banana instead of Snickers bar. I mean, Snickers is absolutely delicious, don't get me wrong, but
you indulge, but cycle off and
this is what I'm saying. There's choices, and even when you go out, there's choices. Requesting not to put butter on the veggies. The simple thing is, they're not going to put butter on the veggies if you've requested not to put butter on it. If you say not to put too much salt, or not to put salt at all in your vegetables, then that's an option. Choosing vegetables over French fries is also an option. So people just have to, I think, have the knowledge, because that's the other thing, people don't know. But what you don't know, you're not going to apply. But once you start knowing, oh my god, if I had only known that this was leading me to heart disease, and now the doctor's saying if I don't change my diet in 6 months, I might not be around. I mean,
well, there goes the 40 years of working behind 5 jobs.
That's right.
And your retirement.
That's right. So, there you go.
Definitely. Do you think there's any difference in I guess, I mean, I don't want to bring up culture too much, but do you believe there's like a difference between culture when it comes to design? Is there like ideologies or things that one industry or one environment might cater to? Or do you notice anything like that in Australia?
Yeah,
versus
well,
even just consumerism and
sure.
capitalism.
Well, I mean, my view is that I can only compare with what I've actually had with my experience.
Sure.
So I'm sure, ideologies within streams of architecture and photography are different to print and web design and that side of technology. In terms of methodologies and like ideologies and philosophies, yeah, absolutely. There's gonna be cultural shifts, and I'm just trying to think an example. I mean, even if you look at anything on screen versus on paper, paper still has its place. Paper still definitely has its place.
That was another question.
Yeah, paper still definitely has its place. Yet I've spoken to people that are perhaps web developers, and their philosophies might be it's just going to be a dying breed. Don't even bother with paper. Yet people are still cutting down trees. People are still using it, but there's a way to use it that's sustainable. But then there are people within the print industry who don't care about that. There are people that do. So there'll always be different change. I guess cultural contrasting views and ideologies. I think what's most important is going back to clarity of what you're really trying to communicate. Whether it is in a photo, whether it is in a beautiful package design, sometimes it all gets lost because there isn't just that one, and that's the challenge. And I guess for me, I'm still we're always going to learn, and for me, I think it's something that is the beautiful, bittersweet challenge of applying and executing what you have to in one idea. No matter what medium, I think it has to just communicate one idea. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, so the message is really
just
important.
One.
Yeah, it's just the message.
Absolutely, the one single-minded message. That's it.
Cool.
You look at so many things that especially in retail, and there's a million things going on. So there's definitely hierarchy, but what's the one main message? In any media, you look at even websites. Man, there are a lot of websites out there that are so cluttered.
Yeah.
What's the primary trigger that you want the consumer or the viewer to click or do? What's the one thing? Sometimes I'm a bit confused as to a lot of websites out there. And then what are the secondary triggers? And what's the user journey that you want them to experience? What's the story you want to tell? What's the emotion that you want to engage them with?
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
So
if you look at anything, even here, the feeling I get in this place, which is a hotel here in California, but it's got that very ranch sort of kind of vibe in the rooms. It's quite island-like, and it's that's part of their brand.
Mm-hmm.
So they've executed that with the fabric and the colors and the bamboo pillars and the flames going on, and it's all part of the experience. So their website should also reflect that, which it does. So no matter what medium it is. There'll always be cultural differences, but at the end of the day, you're communicating one thing. You know, they're buying into an emotion.
I think expression has an important role to play there too. Like architecture and movies, that's like movies are the record of what we came up with at that time. You know, like this building, this probably hasn't changed too much in 20-30 years whenever it's built. And then you go to other places like your Japanese restaurant with the electronic menu, and that they had an opportunity to express something right now, and this was an expression 30 or something years ago.
Absolutely.
You definitely summed that up great about like the message and what we're doing. It's as people, it's this expression people, like no matter the geography.
That's right.
Sure. So on that, I'm always about the future and stuff. So where do you see everything going? So like as you said, the web,
that's a big question.
The web. Well, so the web, as you described, is pretty cluttered, and a lot of people have to just untangle that mess. And it's us exploring and learning about this new platform and stuff. But where do you see that platform in maybe 5 years or maybe even 10 years?
Oh goodness, I mean, where do I see the web in general? I think, or more like technologies with.
Let's stick with like design but utilizing technology.
Without a doubt, web and anything screen-based will continue to escalate and expand. It's just that's what's happening now, and I don't see it really stopping or slowing down. There are still many opportunities in my mind that and territories where like the menu in the restaurant example, that's one. A lot of restaurants should be implementing that more. In terms of where I see it in 5 years, 10 years, I mean, I think it has to make our lives easier. That's one of the things that I read quite a few years back that really struck me. I forgot where I read the article, but it was what makes a product successful, and if it makes someone's life easier, and if it solves a problem, and if it's affordable for them, when I mean affordable, as in if it saves them money because they're buying into this product that makes their life easier, then it's going to succeed. So if we apply that, if it makes our lives easier, and if it saves us time and money, man, it's endless. Why don't we? I mean, people are freaking out back home because they've just announced they're trialing, and they're going to trial this on our rail system is called City Rail in Sydney, and they're trialing the first time in Sydney, although it's not new technology, the first computer operated train, so there's no driver. So some views are people freaking out going, oh, that's just unsafe because computers can break down. Fair point. Some people are saying, oh, that's genius, about time.
Humans break down.
I was going to say humans break down. I think there was a case where they were finding that some drivers were drink driving behind the train operating wheel. So again, they're trying to really push that thinking where they're saving costs. We're saving costs because we're not paying the salary of a driver, right?
Yeah.
We're paying for what they believe is more actually safer technology.
Yeah,
Right?
that's definitely
You know what I'm saying?
way
So-
valuable. It's actually kind of a sensitive subject out here because
Right.
a few years ago, literally just a few houses away from me, is the train just runs straight through our town.
Right.
And there's a moment where it goes through a couple tunnels into a hill,
Right.
but it's just this long curve. And the train driver had been taxiing, and they went head on into like
kidding.
a consumer passenger train into a freight train.
Oh my
And the freight
goodness.
train's just all
Obliterated
steel
it.
and just obliterated but that happened like yards away from my house, like not that far, walking distance within 5 minutes, like it's, but somebody had been texting, and that human error could have been prevented. Right now they made it separate tracks and they have a stoplight, but a person could be looking down and
Sure.
just like an automated system. I mean, there's definitely value in that.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's an example of,
Yeah.
And I'm sure.
Think about an automated system too. There's so many fail safes you can put into to where something like that can't happen.
Yeah. Well,
Whereas like
absolutely.
they know that the train's gonna come on to another train on the same track.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to trust anybody.
Yeah,
It's just the machine.
Yeah, and robotics and that type of thing is becoming increasingly useful in safety. And I guess they can implement those same technologies. In so many things. I mean, driving a train is one thing, but I mean, could you imagine what other things?
Yeah.
What does the future hold?
What fail-safes could be applied to
Yeah.
other vehicles? Definitely.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice or any opinion on about that change and people accepting change? Because
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure people are complaining about the iOS 7 changes that just got
yeah.
announced. It's just
It'll keep changing.
we
too.
all need to progress and we all
Yeah.
need to change, but how do you think people should accept that?
Well, I think people should get involved in the development process for a start. There are a lot of things out there that if you look at Adobe software, for example, which I heavily use, you have to, if there's something that you're unhappy about, you have every right to file a written suggestion as to something that they can improve or something that you wish that they brought back, that they took out in another version. Because if they get enough people doing that, and it's an example of people power, if they get enough people doing that, they will make the change and they'll hear you. Now, the trouble is people don't participate. They have an opinion and they don't, they didn't even participate when it was open forum kind of thing. So, I mean, that's one thing. It's a simple thing, but, there are ways to participate, voting is one thing, and that's a whole different thing, but, people complain about all these things. Well, did you do your research? And you have the right to vote, so it's the same thing. You have the right to have a say in development of certain technologies and processes, and just like this city rail thing that I mentioned, communities, I'm sure are going to have petitions for and against it. So jump on board, and if you feel passionate about something that will affect your life in a positive or negative way, then participate in the avenues that you can. You can't control everything.
But
I mean, that's one other thing. People complain about all these things, yet no one's putting a gun to their head and saying, use this iPhone 7. That's it's like, I hate it so much, but It's like, well, pick another phone then. You know, so I mean, yeah, there's that side of things, and then there's also the mentality of, just I guess either participating in the innovation or creating the innovation.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, nobody's alienated.
That's right.
Yeah.
Somewhere out there, one person thought of the iPhone. Yeah. It's a shame it's not us.
Definitely.
Yeah. It's the same with every technology, though. So if you have an idea, explore it.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the way beautiful ideas get made, all the best ones, right? Because it hasn't been made yet.
Yeah.
And you wonder, gosh, I wish there was a solution for this.
Yeah.
And you might be the guy to come up with that. So.
Yeah. So we covered problem solving. What do you see is the importance in like post-secondary school, like university and stuff? How important is that to your experience, or do you think, like a Tarantino, you could drop out of high school and just jump into it and be an effective designer?
Sure. I actually think that there are huge benefits in just getting the required technical learning. So you still need to use programs, you still need to use those technologies, so you have to really learn that somehow. Mm-hmm. Now, is 4 years too long? In my opinion, yeah. It is, but is there a place for that? Yeah, too. I mean, it's kind of like it goes back to what you want to do. So if I want to have more conceptual thinking, you're not going to find that in a 1-year course. You're going to find that in a bachelor's degree. Do I just want to start working as a designer, that is more technical based, or do I want to be more of a conceptual based designer? See, there's a difference.
Yeah.
Designers that are more on the tools probably end up being really great at finished art and retouching and doing the effects and that type of thing, right? They're the craftsmen. They're purely aesthetics.
Yeah.
Whereas then there's a whole other league of design, which is about innovation. It's about conceptual thinking, because it's the idea that leads the design, and then the craftsmanship can be improved and tweaked, whether it's by yourself or collaboratively with someone that can take it to the next level. So there's those two things. So university, if you want more conceptual thinking and more theory, and because there is quite a lot of theory, of course.
Definitely.
And if you want, and that's where it comes from, the history, the case studies of what's been done, and design principles on a deeper level. Whereas I personally studied at a private college, and it was for 1 year, and I got offered a scholarship, so I took it, and I learnt the programs back to front, boom boom, like the back of my hand now, in a year. Whereas you don't actually get to do that, what I did, in terms of the course structure and the modules, in a Bachelor of Design degree, until you're probably in 3rd or 4th year, so towards the end. So what it allowed for me was to gain those skills, and then I ended up working straight off the bat for Ogilvy, one of the biggest advertising agencies in the world, and I started learning about human behavior and conceptual thinking and interactive design with art directors and creative directors. I was picking their brains all the time, and that stuff you can't ever read in a book,
Yeah.
because we were working on live jobs. Now that's the other thing, nothing beats a live job.
Yeah.
It's a paying client, So it's a whole different world of reality because you're working on actual time frames. You can't say to your teacher, "Oh, you know what? I can't hand it in. That's all right. I'll lose 20% off this month if I hand it in a day late." No, you can't do that in the real world. So, doing what Tarantino did, I mean, yeah, I know a lot of successful designers that have come straight from high school into the workforce, and they've picked up both conceptual thinking and design aesthetics, both design execution, both in an establishment that has those people surrounded by them where they can do that, and at the same time they've been given the opportunity to train within the firm or the company.
Great.
So it depends on your values again, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
So if you want to spend more time studying, go for it. Enjoy that part of your life. There's nothing wrong with that. You're going to open up opportunities no matter where you go. It's just which paths you want to take. You take the blue pill or the red pill.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Let's see. How much time did you want to spend more with this, or we wrap it up?
We could probably talk a bit more about just a little bit about the recent launch of, not so recent now, but Giant Thinkers.
Yeah, go for it.
I mean, so basically, GiantThinkers.com is it's a website, blog-based website that was born on the initiative of helping specifically design students and design graduates. So I think it links well with your last question. What do you want to do after school? What's a better option? And this website, which I write my own articles for, sometimes I have some guest writers and interviews and stuff like that. It really is practical advice, stuff they don't teach you in university or college. The reason why I say that is because I have been both to college and university. I spent a couple of semesters at University of New South Wales College of Fine Arts, but after I did my 1-year diploma of graphic design, and I found that they never really had any modules about networking. They never had any modules about finding a career mentor. They never had any modules about your attitude being more important than skill. These are the things that you get hired for out of high school or university, or it doesn't even have to be design. They hire you because of your passion. They hire the young people because the older people have lost the pizzazz, the energy, like that aura about them that's just so hungry. And it's just kind of like it's a natural course of nature, But you have to. Everyone has their place. You see, it's like in the jungle. Everyone has their place. Even the smallest of insects have their place within the food chain. With how the systems work, and it's the same. You need to hire young designers, but they're just not going to hire anyone. And I think what sets you apart as a designer isn't honed in as much as I would like in universities and colleges, and they're the kind of things that I'm trying to bridge the gap between through the. And it's slowly picking its pace.
I mean, I've already seen value in it myself as that person answering the questions and you're providing the answers.
So I kind of try and give what I can with my articles, and I open it up to other, whether it's CEOs, creative directors, managing directors, whoever, around the world, who can also impart those same practical ways of thinking. There's so many things out there that can distract you as a young Gen Y kid. There is not enough out there that really says straight up, while you are at university or college, you should already be not working at Burger King, but you should already be the mail boy in an advertising or design firm or studio, or you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, definitely.
You there's nothing out there that, and for some it might be a no-brainer. Like, oh, did everyone know that? Well,
Yeah.
no, not everyone knows that, unfortunately. Because people think that, oh, I can't actually apply unless I get my bachelor's degree. Well, you can. It's just that you're not gonna. You might have to run coffees for a year or so, or you might have to stack paper or order toner. That's just the fact of the matter. So the fact that you just need your foot in the door is huge. Is huge. I mean, that for a start, the currency of connections, and I talk about all types of currency, not just monetarily, but
definitely.
The currency of time I mentioned earlier, but the currency of networking I've seen it happen in my entire life. Connections that I've made 10 years ago when I started in the mailroom myself, and 10 years on, getting called by the managing director, 10 years on, to undertake a project. Amazing. That would not have happened. That's not because of any paper.
Okay.
So the paper can only take you so far.
Yeah.
It's really who is the person that paper is representing, who's the character behind that. And there's your attitude. I spoke to a girl once who said, oh, I've graduated and I've spent X amount of thousands of dollars on my course, and I got offered a job, but they said that I might be getting coffees for 6 months. And she goes, I'm not going to do that. She was angry about it too. She expected a junior design position off the bat.
Yeah.
Not to say that she can't, but you got to really weigh up your options here. Try it out. If you absolutely hate it, leave. Try it out. Maybe within those 3 months, you can also start looking for other jobs. There's always a way. People want everything boom, instant. And it'll happen, I think. But that's the other thing that young designers and young creatives have to realize, that things take time, and learning sustainable, long-term learning, the value comes from time. You do things over and over again, right? You get good at it. How are they going to pay for X amount of salary for your seat when they don't even know if you're going to bring back that return? And from a business perspective, it's going to work for them as well. So, they're the kind of things that GiantThinkers.com tries to bring to the table. Just other thoughts and ideas based around helping students get a job, be employable. Yeah.
Definitely. Great job.
Cool.
Let's see.
Any other areas that you wanted to touch base on?
Yeah. What do you think about portfolio preparation? Whether somebody's going into school, or because my school requires portfolios just to get in.
Absolutely.
There's some schools that don't, but then there's also to get into a job too.
Sure.
What's your opinion on that, or is that something you're going to address on Giant Thinkers?
Yeah, portfolio content, are we talking about?
Yeah,
or how
presentation, or
sure.
To whatever extent. Maybe even the fullest extent. I'm going to brand myself doing the timfox.co and put all my work together, my real work, my conceptual work.
Okay. There's a couple of things with portfolio, and I think it's going to be made very clear that a portfolio should represent the best part of you. All right. People put a lot of people put too much work that is relevant to what even they're applying for, and the bad stuff they put in there just because they're page fillers. Yet give me 3 great projects, and that's still better than 20 random pages of all sorts of stuff cluttered. So presentation wise, I think just keep it really simple. Let the piece speak for itself. When I say the piece, if it's a web design or a product design or a printed design, whatever it is, it should be photographed. I feel really strongly about that. It should be photographed in its natural state. So if I design the branding for this hotel, I would include the logo, I would include the stationery, and I would take photos, close-up photos of the stationery. If I did the signage, I would then take some shots of the ambience, and maybe, if they had a restaurant, that was part of it, how does that brand flow through? But again, it's shooting them in its environment. So too often I see students, and I actually spent 9 months marking student work for the online graphic design school, and it's an international school, but it was created in Australia, where students can get their diploma of graphic design or advanced diploma of graphic design online. It's all 100% correspondence learning. And I was marking students' portfolios, and I was seeing, and mind you, this was end of course portfolios that they had to have together.
So portfolios made
to
for
get a
the
job.
workplace.
Yeah, to get a job, and they just put the actual file on there. So business card stationeries. I remember seeing one where they still put crop marks on there. Crop marks, that's for sending it to the printer, but not for anyone to see. So, you know what I'm saying? They put the file flat, and there's a difference between a file flat and a printed business card.
It's a piece of print. Typography,
beautiful, and you can see the texture, and you can go right close up on it, and there you've made it dynamic, you've made it real, you've made the actual design, which is the purpose of the design, is for it to be given. You've made that real. So, if I've designed wall graphics for a music festival, I'm not going to put the wall graphics file on there. I'm going to put the wall. I'm going to take photos of people going like this and partying. That's going to be part of my portfolio. I'm going to put the environment with which that sits in my portfolio. It's almost like creating the mood for the campaign. So then it tells a story. Same with the app. I designed an app for this thing and a website. Well, show the screen grabs, because obviously they're screen designs. But there's different ways to do that too. Do you shoot someone go like this? And it's it's the hand holding the app. I mean that's or do you keep
much more engaging?
What do you want to do? So rather than put the app icon there, do you go close up on it on the actual screen, take a photo of it? I don't know. Do you take a photo of someone on that, and do you just render the app in so it's clear on the screen? On Photoshop, I don't know. There's so many ways to do it, but these are the things that for portfolios people have to really think about. So how it's presented has to be clean. You have to put only your best work, and you have to let the work speak for itself. If you're going to caption it, which you should, this was this type of project, this was my role in the project, this was the client. Just put it small on the bottom of the page or screen or PDF or whatever you want to do with it, and let it speak for itself. No need to put all this stuff in there. So have your best work there. Have it free flowing. Don't put everything into one page. Otherwise, it's going to distract the viewer from the piece that you want them to see. If you created a series of 4 posters, put one poster there, and then on the next page put the other 3. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some people put the posters and the banners and the apps and the screenshot of the web page all on the one page. It's crazy. They're all thumbnails. How can they appreciate your design?
Yeah, definitely.
So there are a couple of tips. I mean, if you're applying for like a design school, you were saying that you know you need to get a portfolio. Same principles apply.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, you might not have any computer skills at all at that point, right?
Sure.
You might have some cool drawings, but organize the drawings. You know, organize the drawings. So just keep it neat, tidy, professional. And obviously, if we're talking about portfolios for getting a job, if you're not having an online portfolio, then you've pretty much closed yourself off to more than half of the opportunities out there.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
That's that networking currency. You need like thoughts on like Behance.net. I mean, you could really spread out your reach there.
Yeah. And it's free, you know.
Yeah.
Sign up. Behance.net is one good example. There are so many out there.
Yeah. I see a lot of industrial designers using CorelFlop.
Yeah, CorelFlop is good.
Yeah.
That's quite popular as well. And again, just have it there so that if you don't have your own .com website or .co or your own domain, you don't need that. You know, it'd be great to have it. It's more professional, and you know you've owned that. But at the same time, you need an online presence.
Yeah.
Bottom
You can
line.
still reach.
You need something there.
Mm-hmm.
If you just want to start with a free, you know, creative community like Behance.net, perfect. You know, have stuff there, and at least if you get an email, you can say you can go and give the URL of your profile. Like LinkedIn, you know, LinkedIn, you might already have your website as the website link to your portfolio as the Behance.net portfolio.
Yeah.
So, you know, some basic stuff there, but you know, there are still a lot of people that don't do that, and they don't take the time to photograph their work. They think that they'll do it later. Later never comes, and now you've got a whole ton of work you've got to photograph. When if you finish a project, shoot it, file it, archive it, upload it, done. Don't even think about it, just do it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Alright, well, it was great spending time with you, Ram.
Oh, that was perfect.
It's awesome.
Thanks very much, Tim.
Yeah.
And Patrick. Thanks so much.
Wrap that up.
Cool. Hope that was alright, man.
Oh no, that's great. We got an hour and 25 minutes.
Oh, there you go.
Dude, awesome to finally meet you.
Oh yeah, far out. It's been a couple years in the making, I think.
Yeah. It's